Oh. Hi stars, what is good? Thank you so much for once again stopping back by. I really do hope that you're going to enjoy today's video so that you can keep coming back for more. Oh, some big chocolate. Um, Hi stars, what is good? Thank you so much for once again stopping back by. I really do hope that you're going to enjoy today's video so that you can keep coming back for more. In today's video, I'll be answering your questions. I did go on my Instagram about 2 weeks ago and I gave you guys the platform to basically ask me industry questions, anything about the industry that you would want to know. If you are new to this channel, I am an actress, writer, director. I do a lot of things, okay, in the entertainment industry. So I asked you guys to ask me anything you want to know, and you guys sure did. So I'll be answering those questions. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, do keep watching this video to the end. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I have my questions written down in my notepad because I use my phone to film. So without wasting time, I have 11 questions with me, and there was a lot more, but I just felt like, you know what, this video is going to be too long. So basically, if you guys still feel the need for more questions, or if you guys feel like I didn't answer in depth or enough, we'll make a part 2. But I just picked up excuse me. Oh, I was saying the chocolates. I just basically picked up 11 questions that I felt like were frequently asked or were sounding similar. So the first one is, when did you start acting? If I'm being dead honest with you guys, I only started acting in 2017. Like, I won't even say professionally acting, but like training for acting, that only happened in 2017 when I was doing my academy year at KCAB. The second question is, can an agency take a person who doesn't have experience or qualifications? If yes, which? Okay, so when it comes to agencies, you guys, it's a lot. There's a lot that you need to understand about agencies as a whole before you can decide whether you want to join an agency or not. But to answer your questions, some agencies don't require you to have qualifications. Some agencies will require you to have qualifications. Other agencies will just need you to send them an audition. So you need to obviously evaluate yourself, understand what you want in the industry. Like I always say, Uti, it's not everyone who is granted the opportunity to study acting, but it doesn't mean that you are less passionate about acting. It doesn't mean that you have a less chance to make it in the industry. So with people like that, I always suggest to allow yourself to learn. There's nothing that you can become a master of if you haven't took the time to learn. And for some people, you learn on the field. Going to school, sitting on a desk, having a lecturer in front of you is not the only way to study. So what you can do is that you can join an agency that doesn't really require you to have qualifications or experience, but the agency will give you platform to be an extra, to be one of those passing people, or like a waiter in a restaurant. You may not have lines in the beginning, but trust me, if you know what you want, you will walk away with so much experience. Being on set alone is a form of training, because even as people that go to school, there's no set on school. At school, you are taught how to do things, but there's no practical experience. The only way to get practical experience is on set. So never look down on just the experience of being on set. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're an extra. It really doesn't matter. As long as you are on set, if you are focused and you know what you're doing, you can always gain something out of it. So yes, there are some agencies that will take you regardless of qualification or not. There are some agencies that are going to be very specific, that we want trained people, but it's all about just doing your research and going to the appropriate agency. So another question that you asked me was, which ones would you recommend? If I'm being deadbeat honest with you, I think I only know 2 agencies that don't require you to have qualifications but will take you anyway. But obviously you can't then expect them to give you first preference roles. You will obviously be, it's most likely that you will be an extra. It's most likely that the auditions they send you will be for an extra or like a minor role. Like your expectations can't be this much if you've invested this much. Do you get what I'm saying? So one of the agencies that I know, it's Mizan Casting Agency. It's in Durban as well as Johannesburg, but I think it's largely here in Durban, and it works with a lot of extras. The second one is isiZiba. I think it's isiZiba Casting Agency. It also doesn't require you to have a qualification. So those are the only two agencies that I know, but of course there are many more. It really just takes you to research, like do your part, do your research. And then there are agencies that if you don't have a qualification, they won't even look at your resume. However, some people don't have qualifications but they have experience. So if you are one of those lucky people that started acting from a young age, you got to be in big screens at a young age, obviously your training or your qualification doesn't really matter. It's the experience that matters. So there are some agencies that will take you because you have the experience but not necessarily the qualification. It just depends what you've done in the industry, and then you look for the agency that best suits you. The third question is agencies you can recommend. Guys, I recommend every agency. I recommend any agency, simply for the fact that an agency that might work for me may not necessarily work for you. It also depends, what does the agency do? There are some agencies that only deal with extras. There are some agencies that only deal with Durban productions. There are some agencies that only deal with Joburg productions. It just depends, where are you trying to branch in? And remember, I think the most important thing about an agency is that you need to understand, Wuti, an agency is a representation of yourself. So you can't just go to any agency. You need to evaluate, sit down and look, Wuti, do I work for this agency? Vice versa. Does this agency work for me, my appearance, my brand? Do your research. Look at the people that have been successful from this agency. Do you fit the caliber? Because that alone will tell you what sort of what sort of work the agency can do for you. A simple way for you to see if who's making it in the industry through that agent, go to their page, browse their page. You will see the people that they represent that are doing well. So for instance, I can't go to, I don't know, I'll call it Moon Agency, and see with a bunch of people that make it through that industry are kids, maybe like Pampers adverts, maybe commercial adverts for Purity, but majority are kids. That means with that agent is stronger in baby stuff. So you need to know what it is that you want to do, and then pick an agent that is best representing of you. An agent in Joburg will not do you justice for a telenovela or a soapy in Durban. Yes, it may, but the higher chances are that if your aim is to be on Durban telenovela, get an agent in Durban. If your aim is to work on the Ferguson or every production that is in Johannesburg, then obviously you need to relocate and you need to be in Johannesburg. Another thing about agencies, they work with your location. So where are you? Like if you're in Joburg and your agent is in Johannesburg, you are most likely to be first preference because you're around. And remember, agencies sometimes call you the day before, yo, we have an audition. So it's really a give and take thing. It's really a on the spot thing. It's really a hand in hand thing. You cannot be in Port Elizabeth and have an agent in Joburg, because what are the odds that they can hit you up and just say, yo, in 2 days time we have an audition, tomorrow we have an audition. So you have to consider all of those things, your location, what it is that you want. You need to specify. If you want to act in Durban, so you're looking at Uzalo, you're looking at Durban Jane, you're looking at Imbeo, believe me, it makes sense for you to have an agent in Durban. The next question is, do actors get paid enough money which they can afford to pay rent? In Johannesburg specifically. One thing about the industry, it is unstable, and this is a reality that the sooner you accept it, the better. The sooner you realize it, the more you are able to expand your mind, your body, your brain into looking for other ways to make income. It's an amazing industry, but it is unstable, especially if you are beginning. Now remember, beginning doesn't have to do with age. It doesn't matter if you're 18, it doesn't matter if you're 35, it doesn't matter if you're 40. That's another thing about the industry. Your breakthrough can be at 50. Your breakthrough can be at freaking 80. The nice thing about the industry is that you can act until you die, basically. There's no retirement stage. But is it enough to pay rent and whatnot and whatnot? If I'm being dead honest with you, at the beginning, definitely not. Unless if you're going to be one of those lucky people that land a role at a soapy and then they give you a contract for 3 years, which is unlikely because the hierarchy is so high. It's not just your show, the production company that has to like you. For instance, if I'm acting in Generations, it's not up to my boss for him to say, you have a contract of 3 years. It's also up to the channel. Does SABC1 like me? Am I working for SABC1? So there's a lot of forces that determine how long your contract is going to be. So because of that, you guys, you are even lucky if you have a contract for 1 year. Even 6 months, you thank heavens. So because of that, there's a lot of instability in the industry. And for that reason, I don't think you can make enough money, but it doesn't come easy. Especially when you are starting out. And then of course, as you grow in the industry, it also has to do with how lucky you are, because another thing about our industry, it's very luck dependent. You can study all you want, it's all about who you know, how well people like you. There's just a lot of external forces that determine how well you're gonna make it in the industry. So because of that reason, it does, if you're lucky enough, if you've worked hard enough, it does get to a point where you always have a job. And so when it gets to that point, it of course offers you a lot more stability. But when you're just starting out, you'd have to be really lucky. You'd have to get a big role at a big show for you to be secure at least for a year. But generally, on a general note, where I feel like a lot of us start out, it's not the most reliable industry. Like, I was having a conversation with one of the guys on set, the previous set I was working on, and he happens to be a very older guy. He happens to be a very established guy in the industry, like he's done a lot of work, and he's like, you know what, to make it in this industry, you really need to have a support system that is strong, or else you're going to get depressed. Because we are paid 6 months and you don't have a job. You are paid 3 months and you don't have a job. You basically never know when your next job is coming from if you are solidly dependent on this. Like, you need to have a support system where if I'm not working for the next 3 months, I have a place to stay, my rent is paid, I have food, like the basic needs, or else people give up. People burn out, and it only makes sense, guys. People need to live. The cost of living is expensive. So if you basically don't know how you're gonna get through the month and the next month, you are bound to look for something that's quicker, to look for something that's more reliable. So boy, I always encourage that. As much as this industry is very passion driven, and if it's really your calling, there's nothing that you can do about it. It's just there, and it needs to be satisfied and fulfilled. But I always say, look at other things that you can do. Look at behind the scenes. Don't just say, I want to act and then be comfortable in that, because stability is almost 10%. Obviously people like Abolele Kumalo, people like Connie Ferguson, just to make a few examples locally, they have secured the bag. They now create their own productions, so those people will always have money to pay rent, will always have money to pay their bills. But it didn't just start there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. The next one is, how do you break down a script? Now this one, I was just like, break down a script is what? A director breaks down a script. The sound guy breaks down a script. The costume lady breaks down a script. The makeup lady, the continuity lady, everybody basically breaks down a script. But because this is more focused on acting and it's more of an acting channel, I would assume that you are speaking of acting. How do you break down a script when it comes to acting as an actor? So obviously, if this is not your question, if you maybe are asking in relevance, how do you break down a script as a director? How do you break down a script as a continuity lady? How do you break down the script as a DOP? Then that would, I can't really answer for that because I haven't played all of those parts. However, if you are asking how do you break down a script as a character, as an actor, as a hired performer on the show, there's 3 W's, babes. Who are you? Where are you? What do you want? You need to answer these questions for the super objective of the script. This means that for the entire script, who are you in the show? Are you a daughter? Are you a mother, are you a witch, are you a granny, what do you want? Everybody in the script is there for a reason, and that reason is determined by what it is that you want from the script, what it is that you want from the story. It doesn't matter whether you end up getting it or you don't get it or your character dies, but what do you want when as a character, and where are you? Now this, yes, you can break it down for the whole show, for the whole script, but I always say, when I look at each scene, where are you for each scene? Because it's very unlikely that you could have a character that is always in one place for the entire movie, for the entire play, for the entire ad. So look at where you are in each scene. If you are in a kitchen, there's a reason why you are at a kitchen. There's a reason why you are there. For instance, you could be at a kitchen because you are cooking as a daughter. So you see, we've answered all of those things. Who are you? I'm a daughter. Where are you? I'm in the kitchen. What do I want? I want to cook and get the meal prepped. So for every scene, you need to know these 3 W's, and that is just the basic form of how you can break down the script. It's not in everything else, but bro, that is a video on its own. But I think the core of breaking down a script as a performer are the 3 W's. The next one is, hi digital friend. How do you deal with anxiety and acting with more experienced actors? Sweetie, when it comes to this question, how do I deal with it? First of all, I don't get anxiety. If I'm being dead honest with you, I don't get anxiety from acting with more experienced actors. I think for me, acting is broad. It doesn't mean that if you haven't seen a person on TV, they're not acting. It doesn't make them less of an actor. Remember, television or screen is not the only medium of acting. There are brilliant actors that you haven't seen on screen, but when you look at theater shows, they are there. When you look at their shows, they are probably 10 times better than what you see on screen. So I don't get anxiety simply for the fact that I can broadly say, because I know what I'm doing, only because I've took the time and invested in my talent. I've invested in the little that I know to expand it. So automatically in anything in life in general, if you know what you're doing, you don't get anxiety, you don't get threatened, you don't get, yes, you may get nervous because you take what you do seriously, but you don't feel small. So this is where training comes a really long way, Guti. I'm not saying that people don't suffer from anxiety generally, but I'm just saying most likely if you know what you're doing, if you're confident in what you're doing, if you are prepared more than anything, there's no room for anxiety. I think, tell you what, if you are casted for the role, it means that there's been a board of people that sit down and look at your audition and look at your appearance and look at how you sound, basically strip you down and look at everything. So you already qualify for that role. If those people say we want this person to play that role, that means that out of freaking thousands of people, you did it the best. You gave the best audition. You suit the role the best. So that on its own, I feel like walk into the space and take it up. It doesn't matter who you're acting next to, but walk into that space and proclaim and live up to the level of, you know what, it wasn't a mistake that they chose me, but they chose me because there's nobody else that could have done this role better than I can. So man, like more than anything, don't leave room for anxiety, but also this doesn't just come with just that. You need to know what you're doing, and this is where training comes in. Get the training, and then you'll never feel anxiety or pressure over this. Oh no, this person that I'm sharing the scene with has been here. So what? You know, they started somewhere as well. The next, I'm enjoying this video. The next question is, how do you balance acting, YouTube, and other things? It's weird because I feel like I'm not balancing it. I really feel like I'm not, like if it was up to me, I'd be posting a lot more frequently. I would be, like, I just don't feel like, most of the time, I just don't feel like I'm on top of things, you know, especially academically. Most of the time I feel like I need to push. I'm always at the edge, I'm always at the verge, I need to do this because the deadline is in 2 days time. So according to me, I don't even think I'm handling it, but how do I get it done? You know, it's just a matter of if there's one thing God has blessed me with, it's being bold enough to do what I want to do. It's being bold enough to chase my own dreams. Not because someone said, not because someone's opinion is this, not because someone said this was going to work out. A lot of what I do in general is for me. So when you do things for you and you do things that you love, automatically you kind of equalize and balance them out equally. They are just as important. I'm doing YouTube because I love it, not because of the money, not because I saw somebody doing it. So when I haven't posted in a while, it makes me not okay. It makes me cringe. I'm not okay when I haven't posted. YouTube for me is a place of peace. It's a place of creation. It's a place of creativity. It's a place where I get to create. It's a place where I get to do whatever I want. So for me, that is an escape from anything ensuing deal and I. So for me, YouTube is a sense of healing. It's a sense of happiness. So I almost can't survive without producing YouTube. I'm studying what I love. I'm studying what I want to study. So it is upon me to do well. When I'm not doing well, I'm stressed. When I'm not doing well, I'm upset. It's not, everything that I do, my work as well. I don't know if I've shared with you guys, but part of what I do is that I'm a social media manager for a specific company. I'm generally passionate about the digital industry. As much as I'm getting into it, I feel like I'm starting to learn it, but it's a point of interest. It's a point of passion for me. So I want that aspect of my life to do well as well. Not for the money, not because they pay my bills, but so I've been fortunate enough. God has been great with everything that I do has to do with what I've prayed for. It has to do with what I want to do. And so I think that's where the balance comes in. I don't think I would be able to balance things out if I was doing something completely out of what I want to do. If I was doing things because my parents said so, because my partner thinks it's what is good for me. So I think a lot of it all comes back to do what you want to do for you, and automatically you'll find balance. Automatically you will do well. Next question is, are agencies necessary? If so, should you pay for one? Okay, so are agencies necessary? You know, when it comes to agencies, some people make it in the industry without having an agent. Some people will tell you, I have never had an agent. So basically, when sifika simbethe izinto engafani, inhlanhla yethu ayifani. There are some people that will never make it without an agent. So you just need to, it's a trial and error. For me, I'd suggest get an agent, try it, see if it works, and if it doesn't work for you, there's always other ways. Network, build your own connections, be your own agent. Let God be the agent. There's just a lot of ways to make it. There's no formula to this, because there are some people that generally just don't believe in agencies. There are some people that say, yo, mina, everything is done by my agent. Mina, every single role that I've landed is by my agent. So it just depends what works for you. Another thing that I feel like is vitally important when you are choosing an agent is, don't just go to any agent. Go to an agent that you feel best represents you as a brand, as an actor, as a performer. Basically, an agent that speaks to you. If it speaks to you, it can speak for you. I don't know if that makes sense. Woo, why am I feeling ill? I feel like throwing up. But anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Should you ever pay an agent? No. You shouldn't pay an agent. The only time you should pay an agent is when the agent gets you a job and then they deduct. Some agencies deduct 20%, some 10%, some 25%. It just depends with an agent that you are working with or that you are with. However, the only thing that some agencies will charge you for is a portfolio. Now, this is vital, especially if you don't have one. This is vital because basically your portfolio is your CV. This is what the agent sends to the production company when they say, oh, we are looking for a person that has dreadlocks, a person that is dark skinned, a person that it has a gap, and then your agent will send pictures of you, your agent will send you details. So the only thing that you should expect your agents to charge you for is a profile. However, if you already have a profile, then when you are signing up with that agent and they ask you for a fee, you can tell them that no, I already have a profile. But then of course this is subject to change, because you may submit your profile to your agent and then your agent is like, Lalela, we want to do it our way because we are now representing you. So the only fee that you may have to pay is for your profile. Anything else, if they make you pay, that is a scam. Okay, the only thing that agents do is deduct money after they have gotten you a job. If the job is not from them, Sometimes they don't even deduct. It just depends on the agreements. It is also important that you read your contract very, very well, because some agencies will say, if we didn't find you the job, all the money goes to you. But some agencies in the T's and C's will say, whether you got the job yourself, your uncle, your grandfather got you the job, because you are under us, any job that you do in the industry, we take 10%. So all of those things are things that you need to consider and really read before you sign up with an agent. So the next question is, how do I get to work with known brands? Example, advertising for Edgar's. Okay, when it comes to this, you guys, everything in the showbiz industry is 80% about who you know. It's so unfortunate, it's so disgusting, it's so annoying, but it's the reality of things. So even when it comes to this, it's all about who you know. However, that is more like on the modeling side. However, there are plenty of agencies, like modeling agencies, that you can sign up to. Again, look for what agency best works for you, best works with what you want to achieve, and then sign up with that agency. That is like the best way. Why am I burping so much? That is like one of the best ways that you can break doors and enter the industry. The next one is, what does an acting CV look like? Please teach us how to do an acting profile. Yeah, it's an acting CV. It's basically like a CV. The format is your CV. The only difference is that you basically put who you are, your details, and what you've done in the industry. Basically, if I had to teach you how to do an acting profile, it would have to be a separate video on its own. Maybe if you want to see the structure, if you want to see mine and what it sort of looks like, you guys can drop it down below, and that would be a separate video on its own. But basically, it's who you are, your contact details, and what you've done in the industry. Basically, that is an acting CV. And then if you have pictures, you incorporate pictures. Pictures being not if you have to incorporate pictures being a headshot, a medium shot, and a body shot. And that's what an acting profile is. You don't necessarily have to not wear makeup, but it has to be very minimal. What I do is that I have pictures where I don't have makeup, and I have pictures where I do have makeup. However, you can have just one picture where it's makeup, but not too much makeup. Like, they can still sort of make up what you look like without having makeup on. The last question is, your worst experience in the industry. My worst experience, I wouldn't say I have a worst experience, because for me, I think every experience is a learning curve. I feel like every experience is not by mistake. Every experience is there to teach me something. So that is just my outlook on everything. But my worst experience has to be on a theater show. I obviously can't mention names. A theater show, it was a musical show that I was working on, where I felt like, the choreographer just didn't, I don't want to say like, because you don't have to like people to respect them, to be decent with them. But I guess they didn't like me, or had some sort of thing going on, but they were just always mean, always on my case, in such a way that I thought I was seeing things. But even the other cast members and lunch break would be like, I would do, when's an man? Why is this one man always on your case? What have you done to this one? And I'm like, bro, it's my first time meeting this person in this production. Like, I don't know. So I feel like that's the one person that I was just like, what is your problem? Because I'm doing what I'm here for. You just do what you're here for. If I'm not meeting the cuts, the director would tell me that I'm not meeting the cuts. Funny thing enough, the director was so happy with me. It was just him. But and then I think another worst industry experience would have, it's not really a worst experience, but I think it's an eye-opener experience, Uguti. When our industry is, men in this industry, women as well, prey onto young talent. They prey onto fragile talent, onto people that are just starting out, people that don't exactly know what they're doing, or like fresh faces. Let me not even say starting out, because even if you are experienced, if you get to a new production, they're gonna prey on you. So it's not necessarily a worst experience, but it was like a weird experience that I've had couple of number of times where you get on set and every single man on that set is on your case. Everyone is asking you out, everybody's trying to get on your pants, and I'm just like, everybody, like, this one is gonna be mad because they saw you talking to this one, and I'm just like, but I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to talk to you and not talk to, if anything, I don't care about all of you all. I'm just here to work. So yeah, you know, it's just one of those things because you really need to be strong. You really need to have certain principles and values in place, because ground, if that makes sense, if I'm being plain honest with you. But that is a video on its own, bro. Like, yo. But anyway, you just really need to have a strong sense of self so that you can understand what you are there to do, and then you don't get misled or distracted. If you want more details about that, that is a video on its own. But anyway, I really do hope that this video did provide some sort of insights, at least on my experience on the industry. If you guys have any more questions, if you feel like I didn't answer, or you'd want me to go more in depth, or if my questions evoked more questions, it is a conversation that we can have down below in the comment section. But for now, you definitely are a star. I can't wait to hear from you. I'll see you next time. If, guys, there are more questions, or like questions that I feel like, no, they require me to go more in depth, I will make a part 2 of this video. But just let me know in the comment section how you feel, more questions, or if I answered everything correctly, or if it helped you. But for now, you definitely are a star. I'll see you on my next video. I love you. Bye.